Chapter 3. As Billy Greber swallowed a couple of aspirin for his breakfast in lieu of his customary fry-up, he noticed that his hand was trembling. Okay, he thought, so he was scared. And it was all so unfair. He'd always tried to keep his nose clean, well, more or less. What was the point of making a pile of dosh if you were looking over your shoulder all the time for the fuzz? Or worse. And as for duffing up the opposition, or having a ruck with every geezer who tried it on, well, leave it out. Look at Tell, who'd ended up splattered all over a car park in Bethnal Green for coming the old soldier with that tearaway from Brum. Or Tell's brother, for that matter, going slowly crazy in Parkhurst. And now, just when he was on the verge of making a couple of sovs for himself out of his share in Space World, he reckoned on $500,000, give or take the odd grand, he'd got himself mixed up with a pair of maniacs who... His stomach turned again as the image of the previous night rose up before his mind's eye. He groaned. What the hell was he going to do? The old Bill weren't stupid. They'd soon make the connection, and then what? Billy Greber, finito. One thing was for sure. He was going to have it out with that brain-damaged cretin Freeth. He swallowed the remainder of his tea to settle his still-heaving stomach and set off for Space World. The trouble was, he had left it a bit late. The deep sleep he had fallen into once his exhaustion caught up with him about 5 o'clock had lasted well into the morning. By the time he arrived, it was getting on for 11:15. As he hurried through the spacious avenues to the comparative peace of the administrative block, he could see that Space World was coming to life. No longer the deserted building site of yesterday, it swarmed with smartly uniformed space stewards, as the staff were designated. A bunch of metallic robot guides, out-of-work actors glad to earn an anonymous pittance, were being rehearsed in their duties by an authoritative gentleman with a handlebar moustache and a space pilot's uniform. The sound of a technician's voice booming through the public address system and snatches of space-age music competed with strange roars and shrieks apparently emanating from hidden monsters. The interview with Freeth did not start well. Sweating with nerves as much from his rush from the car park, why did these toffee-nosed gits always make him feel he was back at school? He struggled in vain to dent the facade of well-upholstered confidence which the chairman presented to the world. "In any case," said Freeth imperturbably, "you're too late. 2 gentlemen from..." He glanced at a note on his vast mahogany desk. "Unit, some sort of special branch, I suppose, are e'en now plodding their way towards us." He took a small handful of pink cashews and popped a few between his moist lips. Billy Greber could feel his guts tying themselves in knots. "We've got to tell them the truth," he said. "The truth? Well, not the truth as such, I suppose. We'll have to say it was an accident or something." He was certainly getting a reaction now. "We shall do nothing of the kind." Freeth's florid lips had tightened to a hard line. Greber was quick to seize his advantage. "Now, you listen to me, Mr. Freeth." "You'd better be advised to listen to me." Freeth spoke with a vicious sharpness. In less than a moment, however, he had regained his customary urbanity. He gave Greber a charming smile. "I shall be ever in your debt for the excellent job your people have done on the site," he said. "That dinky little pavilion for the love-worms. Sheer delight. And I promise that you'll see a more than worthwhile return on your investment. But you're playing with the big boys now." "That's all very fine, but..." Freeth went relentlessly on. "You saw last night how my esteemed colleague, Mr. Tragan, gets his kicks." Greber shuddered. Tragan's enjoyment was somehow the worst part of it. If I should drop the least little smidgen of a hint, and I do assure you that it would hurt me more than it would hurt... well, no, perhaps not. But there, business is business. I have my shareholders to think of. He chewed a few more of the scented sweets. The sickly smell caught the back of Grebber's throat. He swallowed. You wouldn't dare, he said. Freeth's face lit up. Oh, we're playing dare now, are we? He said gleefully. What fun! Go on then. Try me. A buzzer sounded on his desk. He leaned forward. Yes, Tracy. The gentlemen from Unit are here, Mr. Freeth. Send them in, my dear. He looked up at Grebber and twinkled at him mischievously. Now's your chance, he said. Determined not to lose contact with her source, Sarah had bummed a lift from the doctor in his little old-fashioned car, which he called Bessie. He seemed more friendly now there was something real to think about. It was clear, however, that the Brigadier would not be pleased if she tried to muscle in on the investigation itself. All the same, she could feel the rising excitement, the restless energy which told her that she was on to a good story. As she waited in the phone box opposite the door into which they had vanished, she found herself grinning cheerfully at a man standing waiting to make a call. Another journalist, presumably. He pointed at the phone and tapped his watch. She shrugged and turned her back on him as her editor came back. Yes, I'm still here. Who have I got? Well, that's the thing. There isn't a photographer in the place. They're all on assignment. What, Clorinda? Don't do this to me. I must have one. How is it, Sarah Jane, dear, that it's always a must with you? The man outside rapped on the glass. You laying eggs in there? She desperately waved him away. Whatever he wanted, it could never be as important as her story. Oh, you've simply got to find somebody. I mean, if you can't supply the backup, what's the point of employing the finest investigative journalist in the business? Pause for hollow laughter, replied Clorinda. Look, I'm in the driving seat on this one. I'll be able to find out if these monsters of theirs are real. I mean, if they've been killing people. Oh, be your age. Well, the unit lot seem to think it's possible. Anyway, if they're not real, I can get an exclusive on how the wretched things are worked. You can run a Metropolitan Reveals All on it. But let's face it, either way it'd be a bit naff without any pics. Come on. The phone started to beep at her to put in some more coins. And I've run out of money, she added, in something of a squeak. Clorinda sighed. Okay, you win. I'll do my best, but I can't. Her voice was cut off. About time, too, said the waiting reporter as she opened the door. Sarah looked at him. Why didn't I go in for shoveling horse manure like my dear papa wanted, she said. Having been in intelligence for many years, the Brigadier was quite accustomed to police-type questioning, and the many different ways those questioned sought to deflect the questioner. The man Grebber, for instance, he thought, with his one-syllable answers. He didn't give the impression of a man who was easily scared, and yet... And as for the fellow Freeth, well, he was too helpful by half. He should have been more exasperated that they'd turned up at such an awkward time, with the press view starting at any moment. Yet he'd welcomed them in, offered them a drink, which they'd refused, insisted on sending for this fellow Tragan, a nasty piece of work if he'd ever seen one, and had fallen over himself to answer everything that either he or the doctor could think to ask. You say that you and Mr. Tragan arrived shortly after 11 o'clock. You're quite sure of that? Before Freeth could answer, Tragan interrupted in a hectoring voice obviously intended to intimidate. This is ridiculous, he said. Badgering a man in Mr. Freeth's position in this way. We can vouch for each other, and there's an end to it. The doctor interposed a gentle inquiry. Were you once a policeman, Mr. Tragan? What of it? He answered belligerently. I thought as much, continued the doctor. Similar characteristics the world over. One might almost say universally. The brigadier cocked an eye at the doctor. Was there a particular emphasis on universe? At any rate, it seemed to have silenced Tragan, for the moment at least. Freeth came in smoothly. Mr. Tragan is now vice-chairman of the corporation. He is the head of the entertainment division. Quite a career change, said the doctor. Fascinating. Tragan turned from him, his face as inscrutable as ever. His manner to the brigadier hardly altered. Now listen to me, brigadier whatever your name is. We've told you all we know, and that's nothing at all, right? Cheeky blighter, thought the brigadier. Just routine, he said in the time-honoured phrase. And my name, as I told you, is Lethbridge Stewart. Well, get to the point, man, snapped Tragan. With pleasure. The point, Mr. Freeth, is that according to the police, the brigadier said, glancing at his notes, your man was in the gatehouse having his supper, and therefore awake from 11:15 on, and Mr. Kitson's car was the last one to come through the gate. How would you account for that? Oh, God! All the heads swung round. What is it, Mr. Grebber? Asked the doctor. Nothing, blurted Grebber. The brigadier nodded to himself. The chap was scared, no doubt about it. Freeth heaved a rich sigh. Brigadier, the company I have the privilege of serving is a very large one. In fact, I think I could say without fear of contradiction that it is the largest multinational in existence. So what are you saying, sir? It would be a pity, as I'm sure you would agree, if such a company were to begrudge its chairman the use of a teensy-weensy little corporate chopper. A helicopter, said the doctor. The brigadier looked at him. Now what? He sounded as if this was practically an admission of guilt, but the doctor hadn't finished. I see, he added, as if this answered every question that could possibly be asked. And what exactly do you see, Doctor? Tragan said grimly. Quite a lot, Mr. Tragan. You'd be surprised. So should I, thought the brigadier. Well, Mr. Freeth, he continued aloud, I think that covers everything for the moment. Thank you for your help. Don't hesitate to contact me at any time, said Freeth. The doctor eyed him beadily. We shan't. In fact, I think I can promise you that we shall meet again quite soon. No, please, he added to Tragan, who had not moved. We can see ourselves out. As soon as the door closed, Grebber burst into speech. They're on to us, that doctor guy. He knows, I tell you. Quiet, hissed Tragan. They'll hear you. Tragan? Freeth's disarming air of helpless innocence had quite vanished. What is it? I want to know who that doctor is, where he comes from, what his qualifications are, what was the maiden name of his maternal great-grandmother, the lot. And I want to know a year last Tuesday. Right?